Hello, today we're going to look at how we can get onto the next row when we're doing a UK treble crochet or an American double crochet. So I'm going to show you 4 different ways. The first way is the most traditional, and the last way I'll show you is one that I think I may have invented. I've not seen it anywhere else, but you can let me know in the comments if you have. Okay, thank you. Right, so this way of moving on to the next row is doing a 2 chain, which is the traditional way. Now, as we can see, it's not quite straight, but it doesn't look too bad. But when you crochet into it along the edges, sometimes you end up with these unsightly holes. So what we do is we do a 2 chain, we yarn over, flip our work, go into the next hole, first available hole, pull the yarn through, yarn over and complete our treble. And we continue along the row in trebles. It brings our stitches to the correct height to enable us to do that. And this is the way that most books teach you to do it, and it's the most common way. And then when you get to the end, you have to treble into the top of the last stitch. Some people do it into the turning chain and count the turning chain as a stitch. That's 2 chains to get onto the next row. That's the effect we've created. Right, the next way I'm going to show you became my favourite, but I've gone off it a little bit. It has its good points and its bad points. It's not quite straight all the time, but it gives a less holy fabric. So I'll show you. So you chain 1, flip your work, do a UK double crochet. So pull your yarn through, yarn over and pull it through. So you have a nice double there. Then you chain 1, pull this one tight. And we're going to go back through that double crochet we've just created and create essentially another double crochet on top of that one. So it gives a nice stitch the right height, and then we can continue with our trebles. Across the row. And when we get to the end, unlike the chain, we've just got a nice stitch to go into. I will show you that one again because there is another way of going into the double crochet. So we chain 1, turn, do our double crochet into the first stitch, then do our chain 1 and pull it tight. Now, instead of going in sideways, we can go in from the front to the back, go through the stitch, creates an almost identical effect. But unfortunately, with this one, as you can see, we have a little bit of a bumpy edge. No holes, but a bit bumpy. It's a nice effect if you wanted a scarf, maybe. Right, so our next sample I'm going to show you. This one is done by twisting around the yarn, and I became quite a fan of this one until recently. So instead of doing any chains, we pull our loop, flip the work, and this time we're going to go round the back, pull the thread back around instead of yarning over. Then we're going to go through our loops, pull the yarn through from that first stitch, yarn over and complete our treble as normal. Now this gives more like a treble stitch. It looks more like a treble stitch. It's just a little bit bulkier. And then we can continue the row, going into each stitch to the end. And the only downside with this one is that when you get to the end, it's easy enough to do, but you'll see the threads are not quite as flat as some of the other ways. So it's not quite as easy to get through, which I'm demonstrating really well here. But it does give a much flatter, straighter edge than the previous method I showed you. Okay, so the fourth and final one. Now this is my new favourite version, and it kind of combines the others. So we're going to chain 2 and turn, but we don't want that hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through so that we have 2 of our chain loops on top of our hook and the bump at the back. Can you see that? And then we're going to yarn over and then go through the hole of the first stitch, pull it through, and then complete our treble. So now we've linked our chain and our first treble. So we get a lovely treble stitch, but the chain's linked without a hole, and it's much straighter, as you can see. So we'll continue to the end of the row, and I will show you that again at the end. And this has become my new favourite way to move on to the next row of trebles, and I've not seen it anywhere before, but I was frustrated with the methods that were already out there. And as you saw, when I got to the end of that row, it was really easy to go into those stitches, into that last stitch. So we chain 2, flip it round, and if it's hard to go under those 2, just look at the bobble on the back, push through there. It's a little bit tricky, but it's definitely worth it. Complete your treble stitch, and there we have a much straighter edge. No holes, lovely and neat. And I'm doing this with a 4mm hook, so if I did it with a smaller hook it'd be even neater. So as you can see, it's a lovely effect, a lovely finish compared to the other versions. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and let me know in the comments if there's anything else you'd like to see.